Deckard is a pretty passive and uninteractive hero, even within the healer class. He doesn't do much and is extremely reliant on teammates to even be fulfilling his own role within a team. Don't get it twisted though, his healing output is really good and his other abilities are quite effective in the right scenarios, it just requires an aware team to work. His trait is a passive ability that only activates if a teammate is relatively close by, granting him 10 armor and reducing his cooldowns while active. There's not much to say about it, the cooldown reduction is obviously way more valuable than the armor, especially for a healer. It's not explicitly busted or anything, at least on this character in particular, but it does have some talents that help it get a little better. Well, Safety in Numbers is the good talent that doubles the effect if 2 heroes are nearby, also granting bonus mana regen, which is super solid and starts becoming a real nuisance for opponents to deal with, but Ancient Blessings is like a mostly good ability until you look at any of the numbers. It's an instant 8-second buff to nearby allied heroes to empower their basic attacks to explode for a little bonus damage and heal them on hit once per second. Like, it's a good duration, okay-ish damage, a mild heal, and the damage even procs on minions or mercs. But because attack speeds range from seconds per attack to attacks per millisecond, this talent can't be something that heavily benefits one side or the other. Instead, it's kinda bad for anything but wave clear. It's also extremely map dependent, and even then you'd need a good comp or ult play to make this work effectively against heroes. But this guy is a healer, right? Well, his teammates kinda heal themselves, he's just kinda... Let me just explain. His Q throws down potions on the floor nearby, which heals the first ally hero that touches it. This is most of the reason to play the hero, which allows him to prep a zone to fight over if his team controls the area before a fight or an objective. He can be pretty active with the ability by throwing it on top of his allies or in their path if they're further away, but beyond that, it is completely up to his allies to be fighting near or on top of the potions to be healed regularly in fights. The talents for this are wide-spanning, and some of them are extremely strong. I don't think Potion of Shielding has a consistent use case, so I'm skipping it, but Rejuvenation Potion gives a heal over time as well as mana restoration on potions as a bonus effect. Super Healing Potion, however, is extremely strong. If a potion isn't picked up for 2 seconds, it doubles the healing it gives out, and it comes with a passive 25% increase in healing to targets below half health. Which, by the way, leaving potions on the ground is like what he wants to do already, so he just gets to double his healing for doing his job. Bottomless Flask helps his mana management by letting potions just come back after they've been consumed, with a delay of course. So a full level potion build Deckard just unloads healing like no one else as long as his team retains control, without even having to spend mana or to have to position around his team. W is a solid utility spell that, after a delay, slows all opposing units in a pretty good sized square AoE, with not a lot of damage attached. There's a lot more utility in its possible talents, though the majority of them are gems, which I'll get to as a whole after the abilities. That leaves only 2 talents of the same level pertaining to W. Cube Mastery is an enhancement to his E, already reducing the cost, but also reducing the cooldown per hero hit with W. The other is a simple hero damage reduction to those hit by W. I think the gem is the best talent of the same level, so I don't really think too much about the others when it comes to this ability. Deckard's E is a large triangle AoE that, after 2¼ seconds of delay, does good damage with a 1.5-second route to all opponents. It's a pretty cool ability for a healer to have, and it's not even that bad in spite of the enormous warning to get out of the way. It's also good for peeling divers off of him since he can chuck it in front of his retreat and be in the middle when it pops. Talents for it are fine, I think the best of which is the level 1 quest that adds an armor reduction when it's stacked up. It's good in fights when the ability startup can be hard to spot in the chaos. It's contested by a spell power buff, which helps a lot less when he only has one other choice of a damaging ability, and not one that deals good damage at that. There's also Scroll of Stone Curse, which adds a lot of extra damage when it lands on 2 or more heroes. Combined with Cube Mastery, he can almost provide some okay damage in a fight, but his abilities are so delayed that it's extremely inconsistent. His ults are a little more influential, though still along the lines of being more preemptive and prediction reliant to work. Stay a while and listen is a pretty good ability, sleeping all opposing heroes in a very large arc in front of him, and he can channel for 3 or more seconds after the ability starts, with a 1-second delay. It can definitely range from a solid way to pick off priority targets, to getting trolled by allies so hard the cast gets him killed, depending on perception and coordination of Deckard's teammates. The Storm talent alleviates at least some of the problem by adding both a blind and silence to opponents for 3 seconds after they wake up from the sleep. It's a difficult ability to use well, considering it's not even up to Deckard to capitalize on, but it's also his better ultimate choice, so roll the dice on having human enough teammates. Lornado, comparatively, has the somewhat weaker effect of putting a slow-moving AoE on the ground after a delay that moves a short distance linearly for around 6 seconds. It knocks back and deals very small damage to opponents that come into contact with it. It's similar to E in that it can guarantee a retreat for Deckard when he has to deal with a diving hero, but it also has okay offensive applications in cutting off paths or objectives depending on the map, which I'm starting to think this theme of being dependent on maps and allies and even opponents to just not avoid his abilities is what's allowing him to have such a ridiculous healing output. Anyway, the Storm talent gives another charge as well as a massive cooldown reduction every time it knocks a hero back, which is very valuable when peeling opponents off of backline heroes, including Deckard himself. So about those gems, each one can be activated to give the next W cast a bonus effect or 2. Each gem is a very strong talent, but only one can be active at a time, and it comes with a long cooldown when it's consumed. Keep in mind that his W can still miss, especially if he's casting at max range on a moving target, so these strong effects can be completely wasted. Sapphire is a level 1 gem, increasing both the damage and the slow, which can help it function moderately as a secondary peel tool if E fails, or to more effectively chase an opponent. Ruby will cause lesser healing potions to drop on the cube, 3 per hero hit. The lesser potions heal for almost 90% of a base healing potion, so it's pretty dang strong, especially on a good cast, and especially if you have melee teammates that like getting close. The last gem is Emerald, which reduces healing by 75% for 4 seconds, which is effective against all the healing you can see coming that I talked about in the Ana and Alex videos. There's another talent for the gems though, which is the Storm talent Perfect Gems, reducing the cooldown of all gems to 5 seconds and Herodric Cube to 6. So he can spam gem cubes after 20, though it can still be dodged or just missed in some scenarios. That should be everything about this guy. He's a really solid healer when his teammates are paying attention, both for peeling him and actually grabbing heals. Not great for when you're queuing alone and a random healer picks him, or 2-pick, without knowing the capabilities of teammates. In a more organized setting though, he definitely isn't half bad, and twice so if you draft around the long delayed abilities.